question before we start? All right, we are on chapter 5. We are going to learn about the first technique or first method which can be used to compare or judge between the two or more alternatives. So we learned that if you are given with two alternatives, suppose you want to buy one equipment for the production line, and these equipments, they have the same useful life. So the life of the alternatives are equal to each other. So, for example, for this is 6 years, for this one also 6 years. If they are the same, then you can set project life equals to 6 and do the analysis. The second thing which might happen is alternative 1 and alternative 2 might have two different useful life. One equipment can work for 4 years, the other one can work for 6 years. So they are not the same, so the project life cannot be 6 or 4. You can do two things. The first thing, just find the least common multiple of 4 and 6, which is 12. Set the project life 12 years and do the analysis for them. So what you need to do, you need to repeat 3 times for first. Suppose you buy it, its price is 1,000 with a salvage value of 200. So you purchase this equipment at present time at this price. After 4 years, you need to replace it, but you can sell it at 200. So just repeat this 4 times. 1 time, second time, 3 times, sorry, for this case, 3 times. And for this one, you need to repeat it twice. After 6 years, you need to replace that. But sometimes, if you have something like this, 7 years and 13 years are the life of two alternatives, then the least common multiple is 91. 91 is not a realistic number to be used as a project life. So we introduce analysis period method. So in this method, you just set by yourself, you are gonna set project life by yourself. Suppose you say, I said 10 years. It can be 9, 8, or any other number. So you set the project life by yourself. When you set that, you need to have one extra information. So you know the price of the alternative. You know the salvage value, if it's possible, if it's applicable. Also, you need to know value determination at the time of project termination. So this is supposed to work for 13 years. You know the price, suppose the price of one is $1,000. You know the salvage value is suppose 200, but you are going to terminate the project at year 10. You need to know this value at the year 10, terminal value at the end of 10th year. So suppose this is 400. So when you draw the cash flow diagram for alternative, you should add it initial cost. We are going to do the analysis for just 10 years. So you are going to have this number. You don't need to know the salvage value. For the 7 year, you will start from initial cost The project life is 10 years. After 7 years, you are going to replace the new one. Don't forget to add salvage value. After 1 to 3 years, you need to know the terminal value of the equipment should be added here, and you can do the analysis. I started this example on Monday class. Two equipments with the initial cost of first useful lives of 7 and 13, and we set the project life equals to 10 years. The price for both alternatives are given, the salvage value at the end of their useful life are given, and this is the estimation for the market value of equipment at the end of 10 years. So, zero, alternative 1 is 7 years. 7, 14, 10. If you purchase this at the price of 50,000, after 7 years, you can get $10,000 as a salvage value, but you should replace that with another $50,000 because the project life is 10 years. After 3 years, you can sell it at the price of 20,000. So this is the cash flow diagram for this, and this is the net present value for this one. Negative 50,000 at year of 7. You have salvage value and another initial cost. Interest rate is 8% for 7 years, and this 20,000 can be moved to the present time at this interest rate. You will get negative 64,076. For the second alternative, it's supposed to work with for 13 years, but the project life is 10 years. You can just add this $15,000 here. We know that the salvage value is 12,000, but we don't need that information because it's applicable at year 13, which is after project life. So for this one also, it's easy to find the net present value, negative 75,000 plus 15,000, which can be transferred to the present. And then compare these two, go with the alternative with the better or greater net present worth. In this case, it's going to be alternative net. So you prefer to purchase alternative 1 and replace that after 7 years, and then the project life is going to be 10 years. Good? All right. Any question on this? So let me talk about this problem and then do the class activity. Suppose the maintenance cost for a project is $15,000 per year. So the maintenance cost is $15,000 per year. Per year. And there is an account that which pays 10% interest. and you want to have, you know that the maintenance cost is it's going to continue indefinitely, so you want to pay $15,000 for many years. So the question is, how much money you should set aside in this account, which can cover the maintenance cost forever. So the account pays 10%. So how much money you should set aside in this account, which can cover $15,000 per year, and it can cover this maintenance cost forever. Is that clear? Number 5. What do you think? Okay, go ahead. You can come to the board. $15,000. Yes, the maintenance cost is $15,000.
For how long? I just don't quite understand what you're asking.
Okay. So
The account pays 10% on it per year, up to 15,000 per year.
no. The question is, if the maintenance cost is $15,000 per year, and you have an account which pays you 10%, how much money you should invest in this account, which can cover this $15,000 for infinite years? So you think that if you invest $150,000 here, you can withdraw $15,000 forever. Okay?
If money doesn't decline over the year, yeah. Unless you're completely.
No. There is only. Okay, thank you. Any different house? All right. Suppose you deposit $P we are looking for P, how much money we should set aside. After 1 year, the money that you have in account is P plus IP, true? And I is 10%. So P plus 10% of P. You can withdraw this money. Now, if you just spend this amount to cover this $15,000, the money that you are gonna have in your account is gonna be another P dollar. I mean, you are gonna have another P dollar at the end of first year, and for the second year, again, you are gonna have P plus IP. Then you can withdraw this or spend this amount, and still you have P dollar in the account. It can be get benefits for the next year. And every year you just spend I times P. Does it make sense? And basically you don't decline the money at the end of the year. So then at the end of each year you can withdraw this IP. So how much it should be? IP, you want to have $15,000. So P would be 15,000 dividing by 10% is going to be $150,000. So if you set aside $150,000 in the account, after 1 year you are going to have $150,000 plus 10% of $150,000, which is $15,000. You spend this amount, and you again have this money in the account. It goes to the second year. Any question on this? We call this P as a capitalized cost. We are going to use this capitalized cost to do present force analysis for the problem with infinite analysis period, when project life is infinite. So as I said, the money shouldn't decline, so you can spend this amount, but at the end of each year you have $3 in the account, which can get the benefit of interest rate of IP for the next coming year. Good? All right. It's exactly the same as this example that we did. We would like to have $50 for the maintenance cost. So if the interest rate is 4%, and we want to have this $50, we want to withdraw $50 to cover the maintenance cost. How much money we should set aside? So you can spend only the interest part of the money, so P plus IP. So basically, IP should be the money that you can spend. So P would be $50 divided by 4%. Yep. So if you deposit 1250 in the account, then next for the first year, the money that you are gonna have in the account is gonna be 1250 plus 4% of 1250, which is $50. $50. You spend this, again you have 1250 in the account, and it goes to the second year. And you don't decline 1250 over the future. Good. Let's move to more complex. Yeah. All right. Suppose there is a pipeline. The city wants to transport the water from the distance, one distance to the city, and the cost for the pipeline is $8 million. So at present time, they pay $8 million. The useful life for this is 70 years. I mean, it's and they want to have this pipeline indefinitely. So after 70 years, they are gonna pay another 8 million. Then after another 70 years, they are gonna pay the question is, if there is an account which pays interest rate of 7%, they can get benefit of 7% from the account. How much money should they set aside to cover the construction cost for this pipeline? Or how much would be the capitalized cost to cover the construction of the pipeline indefinitely? So we can solve this problem in three different ways. First, just don't look at these 8 millions. Think about these 8 millions which occur 70 years later. And find its equivalent as a uniform series of the payment from present time to year 70, and find the A. So these two cash flow diagrams are equivalent. Either you pay $8 million 70 years later, or pay $8 every year. So how can I find A? To find A, when F is given, you multiply F by A over F. Interest rate is 7% and N is 70. You find A. It's gonna be 4960. $49.60. So if you do this $8 million for this period, for this 70 years, you will get the same $49.60. Now the problem is gonna change to 1, 2, and every year you want to withdraw or you spend $49.60. Just it's a capitalized cost problem. You want to withdraw $49.60. What would be the P? P1 would be IP would be A. then P would be A divided by I. A is 4960 divided by I, which is 7%. I didn't count this $8 million. Since this $8 million occurs at the present time, it should be added to this P. So total P would be 8 millions plus P1, which is $8 million plus 4960 divided by 7%, $8 million and $71,000. So if you set aside this, they can have the pipeline indefinite. They spend $8 million just at the present time, and with the rest, it can cover for the future. Okay. Any question on this? All right. Second method, just what I did, I looked at the future payments and could find its equivalent as a uniform series of the payment. Now look at this present value. It's $8 million. Just look at this. What would be its equivalent as a uniform series of the payment when n is 70? To find A, when P is given, A over P, I is 7%, N is 70. P, A over P, 7%, 70 years, 565,000. So this guy, it's equivalent to 565,000 over the next 70 years. This 8 million is gonna be equal to 565,000 for the next 70 years. So the cash flow diagram can be written as this. Indefinite number of $565,000. Now, what would be the P? P would be A dividing by I. The capitalized cost is 565,000 dividing by 0.7%. We will get the same result. $8,071,000. Any question on this? The third method, I'm gonna ask you to work on that when I explain about the concept. So here, the interest rate per year is 7%. Now, when I look at this cash flow diagram, I can see that this cash flow, this payment has been repeated every 70 years. So what if I set this as 0 and this 70 as 1 and this 140 as 2, another 70 years 3. So then I'm gonna have a cash flow diagram like this. It goes to n, and at the end of each period of time, I'm gonna have 8 millions. Now, if you just don't look at this $8 million for Now, when I look at this cash flow diagram, I can see a cash flow diagram as a repeated cash flow diagram, 8, 8, 8, with the period of time of 1 through n. So I can find the present value for this by 8 millions plus A dividing by interest rate per period of time. So if the interest rate per year is 7%, find me the effective interest rate per 7 years. So what should it be? That I. Then if I know this I can say, all right, I know this is the interest rate per period of time. What should it be? It's capitalized cost A dividing by I. Then I can add it to this 8 million and get the total. Number 29. Okay. Thank you. Number 18. Do you remember the effective interest rate equation? Suppose this is 1 and you divide this to 70 segments. I know that the interest rate per each segment is 7%. Now I'm looking for the effective interest rate per period, which is 1. So if you remember, I effective was 1 plus I per compounding term power, how many terms do we have in one? We have 70. So to find I effective, this is going to be 7%. If you power 70 and subtract 1, you will get the effective interest rate per 70 years. So per 70 years, the effective interest rate is 112.99, almost 113. So now I know what is the I. I is 11300 or percent. Then just plug in there. 8 million plus 8 million dividing by I, which is 113, and you will get the same. You remember this when we did on chapter 4. When I said, if you remember, nominal interest rate is 6%, compounded monthly. So you know that the nominal interest rate per year is 6%. Since it's compounded monthly, I divide this to 12 segments, 1, 11, and 12. The interest rate per month, since it's compounded monthly, I per month is R dividing by M, 6 dividing by 12, which is 0.5%. And if I ask you what would be the effective interest rate per year, you can use this equation, I effective equals to 1 plus 0.5% power 12 minus 1. Similarly here, this 7%, I have this number, 7% per compounded term, which is year, and that's it. And I would like to find the effective interest rate per this period of time, which is 70 years over there. So N is going to be 70, and this I is going to be 0.7. Make sense? All right. Let me work on some examples. Before we start bond pricing. We are going to do the bond pricing next Thursday. So the examples that we covered so far, we had 2 alternatives, we compared them, and we come out with the best alternative. But you might be given with multiple alternatives. So suppose you want to have a pipeline to transport water to the city, and you have 3 options for the pipe size. You can use the pipe size, the pipe with 2-inch diameter, 3, 4, or 6. It's obvious that if you use the smaller diameter, the initial cost is going to be lower than the larger size. So as you see, they have 4 different initial costs for 4 different sizes. But for 1 year, you need to pump the water. So for 1 year, we need 2,000 hours the pump is operating. So, but for a smaller size, the cost of pumping per hour is greater than the larger size. So this is, you pay less as the initial cost, but operating cost per hour is going to be greater than the larger size. So, and we know that it's going to work for 2,000 hours per year. The question is which alternative should be selected if the interest rate is 7%. So let me draw the cash flow diagram for part 2. Twins. You pay $22,000 for the pipe, and we want to work this for 5 years and for 5 years. So for the first year, the cost of pumping is going to be 2,000 times cost per hour, which is 1.2, 3,200. So 3,200 is the operation cost for the pump. Second year, third year, fourth year, and fifth year. Do the same thing for the pump 3, 4, and 6, just different numbers. Since everything is cost, we are finding the present force of the cost. Present force of the cost is 22,000 plus, this is uniform series of the payment, 3,200 is A. We are looking for P when A is given, interest rate is 7 years and N is 5. Just first row, 2,000 times 120 is going to be 3,200 times this factor is going to be this. If you repeat this for all different alternatives, you will get these numbers. If you compare them, this one has the lower cost. So you select 3-inch for the pipeline. Since it's a cost, you prefer to pay less. Good? So one concept that we are going to learn about that in this example is minimum attractive rate of return. Let me explain the example and we will define MARR. So suppose you are given with 3 options for investment. You can invest in vegetable market or a gas station, or you can invest in a small market. So for each alternative, the investment that you need to do is given, and the annual benefit for them also are given, and terminal value at the end of project life that we set it as 20 is given. So for vegetable, for example, you put $50,000 for 20 years, you can get benefit of 5,100, and at the end you can sell it at 30,000. You can draw the cash flow diagram for second and third. You as an investor expect to get at least 10% on your investment. So because you know that there are some possible options which are going to pay you 10%. So we call this minimum attractive rate of return. This is the minimum rate of return that you expect from the investor. So if I say the MARR in this example is 10% and I don't provide any interest rate for calculation, you have to use this 10% to evaluate or judge between the alternatives, because you know that you expect at least 10% on your investment. So MAR, this is the definition of the MAR. It's a minimum interest rate that you expect from your investment. So if you do analysis for this, net present worth for project B is you pay negative 50,000 plus you have this uniform series of the payment 5,100. This is A. You want to find present value. You are looking for P when A is given, interest rate is 10% and N is 20. If you do that for net present worth of B, I forgot this 30,000, plus 30,000 times P over F, sorry, F over P. 10% for 20 years. You will get negative value. So this project has negative net present value. Second project has negative value. Third project has negative value. If I ask you which alternative should be selected, one alternative would be do nothing. So you shouldn't do investment in any of these three projects. So do nothing when net present worth are negative for your option. Alright, I will post the homework today. The due date would be 2 weeks from now. So since you have exam on Monday, 2 weeks later, don't ask me to postpone the homework. So I submit the homework today with 2 weeks.